Start the recording. Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn. Today's deck is our second deck tech coming out of Duskmourn Early Access, and this one is probably the one I was most excited about brewing. This is called Zurtain Doom, and we're finally taking Zur and busting it wide open with all of the new crazy impending Overlord creatures. This deck is insane. I'm in love with it, and honestly I wish I could just keep playing it. I'm gonna have to brew it right away as soon as the deck goes live on Tuesday for the public because I'm having so much fun with it. But alas, for the early access stream I need to move on to other decks, so I'm getting this deck tech video up to you guys right now so you can check it out. And this deck takes, like I said, the Overlords and a bunch of other crazy new enchantment synergy shenanigans and combines it with Zur for maximum potential, and I would not be surprised if some version of a deck like this ends up being a pretty big deal in the meta once this set launches on Arena for the public, so keep your eye on it. Let's talk about the deck. Before we do, make sure you like the video if you haven't already. It's you guys liking every video that helps it get out to so many more people, and I would greatly appreciate that. These are a lot of work to put together, and thank you so much. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. Tons of deck techs coming out of early access. We're going to drop one every single day, so look forward to that. And also, if you're catching this the day it goes live, I am still streaming over on Twitch. Early access for Duskmourn, so come join us. That's twitch.tv/quarantinedcapricorn, because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. This video has been brought to you by Wonders of the First, but I'll tell you about that later. Let's break down the deck. Alright boys, Zur is back. Finally, I've been waiting for this moment. Zur is absolutely insane again, mostly because of the new impending creatures. So first off, let's talk about Zur. 3 mana in the colors of Esper, 1/4 legendary human wizard with flying. Enchantment creatures you control have Death Touch, Lifelink, and Hexproof, which is already going to be good for any normal enchantment creatures you happen to have on the battlefield already. The turn that you play Zur, they're instantly going to become these absolute monsters that trade with anything they get in combat with, gain you a bunch of life, and can't be targeted with targeted removal because of the Hexproof. They have to kill the Zur first, which is awesome. But the real bread and butter of Zur is a 2 mana activated ability, 1 white and 1, target non-aura enchantment you control becomes a creature in addition to its other types and has base power and base toughness, each equal to its mana value. So Zur for only 2 mana can turn any enchantment into a creature, and if we have a way of getting an enchantment down that has a high mana cost without having to actually pay that mana cost, we can get an absolutely huge creature for very little amount of mana. So this works perfectly well with the brand new impending creatures, all of the new Overlords. One of them being Overlord of the Mistmoors. This is a whopping 7 mana, 2 white and 5 for a 6/6 enchantment creature avatar horror. So if we turn this into a creature with Zur, it's going to be a 7/7. For 2 mana, which is bananas, and then it has impending 4 for just 2 white and 2. So we can play this onto the battlefield as a normal non-creature enchantment for only 4 mana instead of having to pay the 7. And then when it enters or attacks, you create 2 2/1 white insect creature tokens with flying. So not only can we get this out early for its impending cost, which normally it would have these 4 time counters enter on it. At the end of our turn, we remove a time counter. When the last one's gone, then it finally becomes the creature version of the enchantment. So we can play it for the impending cost, and we don't have to wait those 4 turns. We can just pay 2 mana and immediately use Zur to turn it into a creature. Not only do we get to skip the 7 mana cost to hardcast this thing, but we get a 7/7 instead of a 6/6, and because of Zur, it's also got Death Touch, it's also got Lifelink, it's also got Hexproof, and we still got the ETB trigger when we played the Overlord for its impending cost, so we still have the 2/2/1 flying tokens, which a lot of times, being able to play this out on turn 3 or turn 4 and get those tokens helps stall the game, give us some decent blockers while we build up to our different synergies, which can be amazing in and of itself, even if we don't have Zur online yet. But then once we turn it into a creature with Zur, it could just swing in and start making 2/2/1 flyers every single turn, which is kind of bananas. In addition to Overlord of the Mistmoors, we've also got Overlord of the 𝐸𝑚𝒄𝒄. This is a 5 mana 5/5 enchantment creature avatar horror, but this one has an impending cost of only 1 black and 1, so it's even cheaper, but it has 5 time counters. It's impending 5, so we have to wait a whopping 5 turns. But again, we don't care with Zur. We spend 2 mana, immediately turn it into a 5/5 Death Touch, lifelink, hexproof that can swing in and re-trigger its attack ability whenever we do that, which is kind of nuts. But even just the turn that we play it for its impending cost for that 2 mana, we get to mill 4 cards and then return a non-avatar creature card or planeswalker card from our graveyard to our hand. So whether it's because we're playing the Overlord or because we're attacking with the Overlord, we get to dig for other extra copies of Zur, refill our hand so that if they do end up killing the Zur and think that they've foiled our plans, we have backup copies in our hand ready to go. Or if they kill it before we even play the 𝐸𝑚𝒄𝒄, we can just use the 𝐸𝑚𝒄𝒄 to get it back to our hand so that no matter what, we keep having access to Zur over and over and over again until eventually our opponent runs out of removal, and it can be really crazy. In addition to Zur, we have a couple other targets, one in particular that's really easy to get with the Overlord of the 𝐸𝑚𝒄𝒄. Starting at the bottom of the curve here, we have Inquisitive Glimmer. For just 2 mana in the colors of Azorius, it's a 2/3 enchantment creature Fox Glimmer, and all enchantment spells we cast cost 1 less to cast. As well, unlock costs for rooms, for the new room cards, they cost 1 less as well. So we're not using the room side of this, but even just getting a cost reduction on our enchantments is kind of insane, because that applies to the impending cost. So this Overlord of the 𝐸𝑚𝒄𝒄, as if getting it down for 2 mana wasn't already crazy, now we can get it down for just 1 mana if we have the Inquisitive Glimmer out. And the Overlord of the Mistmoors can come down for just 3 mana for its impending cost, which means we can line it up perfectly, getting a turn 2 Inquisitive Glimmer, turn 3 impending cost Overlord of the Mistmoors, and get 2/2/1 flyers on turn 3, which is kind of good just by itself. But then this thing just starts counting down to eventually becoming a creature, even if we don't get the Zur combo online, which is kind of nuts. In addition, we're also running 2 copies of Overlord of the Hauntwoods. Not only does this work really well with Inquisitive Glimmer, getting the cost reduction, and Zur being something we can turn into a much bigger threat than what the mana is that we're paying to get it out, but it also helps us color fix a little bit here, because when it enters or attacks, you create a tapped colorless land token named Everywhere that is every basic land type. So it helps us get all of the colors we need for mana. It also helps us get Domain, which can be really important for another card later on. And we're also running Leyline of the Guildpact, because if we start with it in our opening hand, it's a free 4 mana enchantment on the battlefield that fixes all of our colors and gives us Domain, which all of those things are good. So the 2 Overlord of the Hauntwoods are kind of like backup Leyline of the Guildpacts. If we don't start with those in our hand, we have a way of getting, Domain turned on, getting a land that is every land type with Overlord of the Hauntwoods. In fact, we can get multiple of those going. Every time we attack with Overlord, we're going to get another one, which is kind of nuts. But if we can turn on Domain, it makes Case of the Shattered Pact really good. This is worth playing just in general, because for 2 mana we can find whatever land we happen to be missing, or if we just need another land drop and it doesn't really matter if we have all of our color fixing and we don't need a specific color, but we just need to make sure we hit our next land drop, it can find another land for that as well. But it gets solved if there are 5 colors among permanents you control, so being able to turn on Domain with Leyline of the Guildpact, and then being able to solve Case of the Shattered Pact makes it so that at the beginning of combat, target creature we control gets flying, double strike, and vigilance. And if we already have a giant threat like Overlord of the Mistmoors or Overlord of the 𝐸𝑚𝒄𝒄 turned into a big Death Touch, lifelink, hexproof creature that has an attack trigger as it is, we can make that card even crazier by also giving it flying, double strike, and vigilance until end of turn on top of that, and that gets insane. Not only that, but Case of the Shattered Pact can get the cost reduction from Inquisitive Glimmer, come out for just 1 mana, fetching us a land that we can play to replace that 1 mana that we spent, which is pretty gnarly. And then it's actually an enchantment on the battlefield, so worst case scenario, it's another thing that we can turn into a creature with Zur. It's not going to be anywhere near as huge and powerful as our Overlords, but it is going to be another 2/2 Death Touch lifelinking thing if we're desperate and we need it to be, which is really, really nice. In addition, we've got Leyline Binding. This is another way to get value off of our domain shenanigans. So having Leyline of the Guildpact on the battlefield, or just getting an Overlord of the Hauntwoods out and getting access to that land token that is every land type, is going to allow Leyline Binding to come down for just 1 mana. And just like all of the Overlords, this is something that comes down for super cheap, but still counts as a 6-drop. We've used this in enchantment decks in the past to great effect, and we can do that here as well, turn it into a 6/6 with Zur, even if we only spent 1 mana to play it, and that can be absolutely busted. And the Leyline, the Overlord of the Hauntwoods, and the Case of the Shattered Pact all kind of work together to make the ability to make this super cheap that much more consistent. In addition, we're running 4 Up the Beanstalk, which is just bananas in this deck. It's always been really, really good with Leyline Binding in particular, because when you play the Leyline Binding, it counts as a 6-drop still, and it's going to draw you a card. But just like Leyline Binding, we have our 10 Overlords, which all sort of function the same way. So we play them for super cheap for their impending costs, possibly even cheaper with Inquisitive Glimmer out, and then when we have an Up the Beanstalk on the battlefield and we're playing those Overlords for their impending costs later on, we're triggering Up the Beanstalk and drawing even more cards. So getting even more synergy out of Up the Beanstalk in a similar fashion to Leyline Binding out of all of these Overlords is absolutely bananas. And we also run Temporary Lockdown, because for 3 mana, we have to make sure we can contend with aggro. Aggro decks are everywhere and insane. Being able to drop this on 3 and clean up the board as far as aggro, but then having an enchantment later on that can be turned into a creature with Zur, or, you know, getting the cost reduction so that this is a 2 mana sweeper if we have the Glimmer out. Even though we do end up hitting our own Glimmer, it's not all that bad. And in fact, sometimes hitting our own Up the Beanstalk isn't the worst thing ever as well, because if our opponent ends up using enchantment removal to get rid of the temporary lockdown, then we get our Up the Beanstalk back and we actually get to draw another card right away, which is nice. So the best part about this deck is it just gets so many crazy, huge enchantments into play super cheap, super early, so we can just drop Zur and start going to town immediately. In fact, even just Leyline of the Guildpact being a 4/4 creature that we got to play for free because it started in our opening hand, you know, becomes a 4/4 later on with Zur, is kind of nuts, and another really good reason for running this card outside of all the domain shenanigans or, you know, color fixing shenanigans that we have. So the deck is absolutely insane. Some version of this is going to be in the meta for sure. Is it this exact version? I don't know, but this is a damn good place to start because this deck absolutely sings, and we got some insane wins. The mana base has to be very specific, so if you're interested in that, I'm not going to take the time to go over it here in the deck tech, but that will be listed in the description, so check that out if you're interested. Check out the Aether Hub link. We're going to get to the games. Before we do, this has been brought to you by Wonders of the First, so let's check them out. I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Wonders of the First. Wonders of the First is a brand new collectible card game similar to games like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon, featuring a unique action-based resource economy that helps avoid pitfalls like Mana Flood or Mana Screw, and a battlefield containing multiple realms that unlock over time as you fight for control of the stones. The first 400 card set is called Existence and will launch to retail in the fall, but playtest team starter kits are available to order now. And they haven't forgotten about all you collectors out there. The game contains alternate borderless art variants, as well as highly sought after limited edition numbered prints, culminating in a 1-of-1 stone foil. And the best part is that the developers have a community first approach, with 8 print and play decks available on their website, as well as a version of the game available on Tabletop Simulator, all for free. For more information, be sure to check out wondersccg.com today. That's wondersccg.com. Alright, we're keeping this after off MTG. We are going to need to start with a Floodfarm Verge. I guess we won't be able to make blue until we get another... Well, I guess it doesn't matter, right? Because we have the Leyline. So we just want to get to 3 lands here for a temporary lockdown. Big red freshness. Toadstool Admirer. Man, he really loves that card, huh? I think we just play the Overlord, regardless of the fact that the trigger's not doing anything. Oh, we get to mill. I forgot all about that. I forgot we got to mill. That's awesome. That's even better. Although we did get rid of our land, and that's not so awesome. I think we just do this again. Start building up these impending dudes. Because we want them to build up until we can lock down, right? We don't really want to waste the binding on these if we don't have to. Although we absolutely will bind the Calyx. 100%. Pending counters go away. Honestly, even just playing these impending creatures and then just like following it up with board wipe and keeping the board clear and then they just turn on eventually into win conditions seems kind of nuts. Like, before they become creatures, while they still have counters, they just dodge all your board wipe. Even if we were playing, like, board wipe that could hit them. You know, if they were 5-mana creatures. Obviously, the lockdown can't, but... Man, that effect is, it's cool, but it's also very in your face. Grand entryway, elegant rotunda. Alright, we've got a Floodfarm Verge. We gotta just lockdown, right? I wonder how lockdown will work with this card. Alright, it hits it because he didn't unlock the other side yet. That's awesome. Calyx, sure. Do we Leyline Binding? You know what? I think we take a chance and get out Zur. He's down to 1 card in his hand. The Overlord's going to become a creature right now. So at the very least, even if he has removal, we have another creature left over to block. And because of Zur, it gets Death Touch, Lifelink, Hexproof. Yes, please. We'll go up to 11 and kill your Calyx. Wait, why didn't it die? Oh, first strike. First strike. I guess that makes sense. I mean, do we binding the Calyx? I think we binding the Calyx. Royal treatment? Huh. Well... First strike from the armor is kind of bananas, not gonna lie. That is kind of bananas. We need to gain back some life here. So we're going to do this. Swing in, get 6, go up to 12. 𝐸𝑚𝕝𝕝 going to become a creature. Another armor. That's actually fine. We're just going to block with Zur here. Because 𝐸𝑚𝕝𝕝 will trigger, right? And we will be able to just replay him. We just do that every turn. I would have attacked with the Leyline Binding as well, but I want to make sure that I have a second blocker in case he top decks removal. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Oh, Junior! We got a game against Junior, guys. It was meant to be. I hope he's playing aggro. This is our chance. It's our hit list. We're keeping it. I'm giving him the good game. Alright, free Leyline. We'll start with a Portico. Overlord of the Mistmoors is really good. We're gonna keep it. I'm gonna be greedy and keep it. I probably should dump it and find something we actually have enough lands to play. But I'm not going to. I'm gonna be greedy. Come on at me. I don't see a Leyline. Who is that guy? Wouldn't you like to know? Honestly, even if I just use the temporary lockdown as singular removal, it's almost worth it. I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna use it yet. I'm gonna wait until there's another creature. But even just using temporary lockdown as like a 1-for-1 to get rid of the hero, so that I can save my Leyline Bindings for bigger threats, would kind of be fine. Weatherseed Treaty. See, now that's going to create a 1-1 next turn. So we're going to do this. There will be none of that. Trying to set up with domain. What are you doing, Junior? What are you doing? What are you doing, Junior? I just don't even know anymore. Do I want to play the Overlord before I play a lockdown? Maybe I don't even need to play the lockdown. Let's just do the thing. Let's just do the thing. Let's just do the thing. Man, that card is so good. Overlord of the Mistmoors, guys. Remember that name. It's going to be everywhere in a couple weeks. No blocks. I know you got all the buffs. But you don't have a Leyline of Resonance, so I'm not that worried. That's 14. But you need a way to sack it. Do you have the burn together? Maybe I should have blocked. I think I should have blocked, right? No. Okay. Okay, okay. So It's a little bit scary. Do we just hold up Leyline Binding? I don't really want to temporary lockdown yet. I think I Leyline Binding in response to him casting a spell and targeting the hero so that he wastes the spell. And then if he plays other creatures, we lock down those. But if we don't need to, we can ride the insects to victory. I don't think locking down our own insects is right when we have binding and we've seen like no other threats from him. Yes, you do. You absolutely see 5 colors. Resolve. I wanted him to cast a spell. There will be none of that. There will be none of that! Plays the 𝐀𝐫𝐴𝑍𝒐𝒓𝒅𔑔. Oh my god. Look at this. Look at this, guys. Gain 7 life, make 2 more insects. I think I got him. I think I got him. Oh, he's got the ley line! I got him. I got him. Ay caramba. Take all of my girth, Junior. All of it. That's what you get for playing Leyline of Resonance. Get out of here. Get out of here. Off my hit list. Hamhawks. Yeah, we keep this. We've got access to Leyline Bindings right away because of Guildpact. Hello, friend. We don't need to use it yet, so we'll do this. Yes. Beanstalk on 2 to start drawing cards seems wonderful. Depending how aggressive he is. 𝐏𝐞𝐬𝑧 Heist? You do what you gotta do, friend. Okay, okay, that's fair. Pass the turn. He takes the Up the Beanstalk, which slows me down considerably, but leaves us with 2 Leyline Bindings. What is this deck? Plays the Up the Beanstalk. So now when we temporary lockdown at least, if the lockdown ever gets destroyed, we get our Beanstalk back, which is kind of nice. Oof. That is not nice. Pass. Oh, Hamhawks, ruining our fun. Bloodletter. There will be none of that. Hedge Maze! Yay! Do we get rid of the land or do we need it? That will come down for 3. I don't think we need the land, honestly. Overlord is going to make us one. Unstoppable Slasher. Yeah, we're gonna have to get rid of you too. Lockdown doesn't hit it. Play Overlord of the Hauntwoods for its impending cost. Give us a nice everywhere land. Yeah, I'm loving this play space, this playboard. Not only does it have the awesome horror themes, but it's got a video game console chilling. Yes, please. I mean, we definitely want to play Xur. I just don't know if we want to yet, you know? I think we have to try, though. We have to try. Fabled Passage, sure. We're gonna go down to 9 if that thing gets through. Brutal. Oh, we're gonna die if that thing gets through. We lose half and then we lose half again because of Bloodletter. That is scary. There's not really any way to stop it with what we have. We have to get really lucky here. Yeah. Totally wrecked. Unfortunately, the Overlord is 1 turn away from being a creature, or else that could have traded with the Slasher. So we lose 8 to the Slasher, and we lose 8 to Bloodletter. Ouch! Hedge Maze into Forest. No black or white, though. We need double white for Overlord. Oh, but we have Leyline. Yeah, this is fine. What am I thinking? We have Leyline. None of that matters. Yes. Dump the other Leyline. Thank you. Do we up the Beanstalk or do we case? I think we, Inquisitive Glimmer. Right? Yeah. That allows us to do all sorts of shenanigans. Glimmer, glimmer, glimmer. Glimmer some more. Alright. Case of the Shattered Pact. Fetch a land. Play the land. Up the Beanstalk. Draw a card. 𝐸𝑚𝒄. Mill. Potentially get back a creature. Draw a card off of Up the Beanstalk. All of that looks wonderful. No attacks. Solve the case. Take a counter off Overlord. Pass the turn. We are so set up, it's crazy. Yeah, I agree, Ace. I agree 100%. Dude, Cavern Bat. He's gonna hit either Xur or the Mistmoors, right? Chooses to hit the Mistmoors. Makes sense, honestly. Let's just draw a million cards. A literal million cards. Let's just do that. Just draw a million cards. Off of all of these Up the Beanstalks. Get a backup Zur into our hand. Give this guy flying, double strike, and vigilance. Swing in for 4. Still get to hold it back as a blocker. That's wonderful. Remove some counters. Man, this deck just sings. This deck just sings. 𝐸𝑚𝒄. Alright, you're using it as well. This must be a roots deck, right? Kill my Glimmer. That's fine. I don't need it. I don't need you. Watch how crazy this is going to be, though. Are you ready? One of our 3 Zurs. This one has the most, so let's do that. And then let's do that. 5/5 Death Touch, Lifelink, Hexproof, Flying, Double Strike, Vigilance. And gives me stuff. Sure. Sure. Give me all the life. Good God. Good God. This deck is bananas. Zur is so good now. Welcome to a Zur meta. Welcome. Do we animate our 𝐸𝑚𝒄? No, we'll play this guy. And just redraw a hand. Why not? Why not? Okay. The only problem is we're going to mill ourselves to death. Let's get back another backup Zur. So we have 3 Zurs in our hand if they kill the first one. Sure. Discard. I guess we just discard a land, right? Fabled Passage. We don't need to crack it. Zur won't get banned. It's not that good. If anything, I think Leyline of Resonance will get banned. First Strike, Death Touch. Good old First Strike, Death Touch. Let's just do that. We're not going to let you destroy an enchantment by getting through. You have a sweeper now? Drag the Zur. That's fine. Welcome to Zur. Would you like Zur, Zur, or Zur? Jeez Louise. Insane, guys. Look at this. Look at how crazy this is. See ya. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things. No blocks. Oh, I don't know how I didn't see the arrow.
Are you fucking dumb?